Hi there guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time. Today I thought I'd do something slightly different. Those that have been following my channel will know that I am a musician, or I've been a musician since the early 80s and been in many bands over the years, recording work in London, etc. I did a review of the Beatles Now and Then, and I said at the time that it had been compressed to within an inch of its life, and I got a lot of shtick for that, not necessarily from people on this that subscribe to this channel, but you get your trolls, don't you? But it made me think that maybe there's a lot of people out there that don't fully understand where I was coming from when I started talking about the compression that had been added to that song, and why I felt it was a wrong thing to do, and why I think it spoilt that song. So this is going to be a little bit of a classroom expedition today for you. Hopefully you'll learn something. I don't profess to know everything there is to know about recording. I'll put that on the table straight away, but I do know about compression, what it does, how it's used, and why you don't want to overdo it. So without further ado, let's crack on with this video, and I shall give you some examples of good and bad. Right, so compression. What is compression? So compression is where you take a sound, whether it be an instrument or a complete recording. You will compress the sound, you will reduce the top frequencies, you will compress it, a bit like a spring, reducing downward compression, basically making all the instruments sound as loud as each other. So a good example of this, of compression also adds or can add sustain to a note. A fine example is the guitar intro to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. David Gilmour, when he recorded that, he plugged his guitar straight into the desk. He didn't go through an amplifier, he plugged it straight into a desk and straight into a compressor. So what you're hearing is the clean guitar going through the recording console, but through a heavy compression, which is why it's got that particular sound. That's the compressor that's giving it that sound. When it's used in those sort of scenarios, it's very musical and it works really well. But if it's misused, it can actually have a detrimental effect on the sound of what you're listening to. So here is an image of a sound before and after compression, and you'll see the image on the left, that is the raw sound wave. And on the right, compression has been added, and you can see that it looks louder, and the peaks are looking less dynamic, especially the peak on the left hand side. You can see that's all but missing on the right hand side. So let's give you some other examples. So the other week I did a review of Richard Wright's Wet Dream album, and I'm going to bring up for you now the track Holiday from Wet Dream. So here's the waveform for that. So what you're actually looking at, ignore the orange bit behind the blue. You're looking at the blue. The blue is the waveform of the music, right? So this is the original 1978 mix, as recorded back in Super Bear Studios back in 1970, late 77, early 78. Now let's show you the Stephen Wilson remix. Now that is the remix, and you can see straight away Those blue peaks have been chopped off at the top. It's been brought up in volume, but he's also compressed it quite a lot. And, you know, does it suffer for it? It doesn't sound the same as the original recording. It sounds very, very different. So that's one example. Right, so one of the contentions was I'm the Walrus from the 66, the 67 to 70 reissue. Everyone's been up in arms about that. Well, here is the waveform for the original 67 mix, and you can see it's quite dynamic. I mean, by this time they were really using compression to their advantage in the studio, but they didn't overdo it, and I'm the Walrus is a good example of that. You can see that the blue transients, you know, they're not sort of outside of the realms of normality really. But then you get to the 2023 remix, and then you've got this. This is an absolute abomination. You can see straight away that it's been compressed heavily, and everything sounds as loud as the next thing almost. But we're not getting there quite yet. I want to show you a really bad example. And the bad example is actually Now and Then, but I haven't got anything else to compare it to, so what I'm going to compare it to is something as close as I could get, similar sort of sounding wise to Now and Then, which would have been I'm Only Sleeping. So here's I'm Only Sleeping. This is the original 66 mix. It's a vinyl rip, it's a needle drop, so it's off the vinyl, and this is what it sounds like, what it looks like, sorry. And you can see it's quite dynamic. It's what you're looking at is the left and right channels. The left is on the top, the right is on the bottom. So this is the stereo mix of I'm Only Sleeping. Now, let me show you Now and Then, and this is why I kicked up a stink. That is the song Now and Then, and that is awful. You know, it's not slamming the top, but you can see that there is absolutely no dynamics in that song whatsoever, apart from maybe the beginning. But as soon as the drums come in and the piano, it starts going downhill rapidly, and it's like that until the very, very end. It's awful, really, that they've recorded it like this. Now, I don't know why they've done it like that, but someone made that decision, probably Giles Martin, obviously, because he mixed it. And, well, you know, was it a good choice? Probably not. That is over compression. That is heavy compression, and everything is a mishmash. You can't distinguish anything. There's no sort of dynamics in that at all, and I think I said that in my review. The dynamics absolutely shot to pieces on that, really. And just for completion, let's show you a waveform from the original needle drop vinyl pressing of I Saw Her Standing There from the Please Please Me album. This is the stereo mix. So what you're looking at, the top is the left hand channel, bottom is the right hand channel, and pretty dynamic. It's pretty good, pretty good. Let me show you the 2023 remix. Yeah, okay, so it's not brick walled, but the compression is to such a degree that the dynamics are all but gone, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, it sounds okay, but is it as good as the original? Probably not. So with that in the bag, you've had a little bit of a flavour of what compression is and what it actually looks like when you look at the waveforms. It's got to be used sensibly. If it's misused, it can actually have a detrimental effect on the sound, I think, anyway. Certainly now and then, I think great songs spoilt by overproduction, if you want my honest opinion, and the amount of compression that was used on that, I think, was an abomination. But that's just my 2 pence worth. Give me your comments down below, let me know what you think. A lot of the time you don't notice these things. I do, because my ears are sort of sensitive to compression. I know what I'm listening for. To the layman, it probably doesn't have that much of an impact until you see it visually like that, and you look at it and you go, ah, okay, what's happened there? So anyway, that said, that is compression in a nutshell. It's basically a vice that's squeezing your sound to make everything sound as loud as everything else. And that's basically it. Catch you in the next video, guys. Cheers. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.